We're back here at the studio. Big thanks to Winter Park Resort celebrating their 75th anniversary. Definitely be on the lookout for Tim Nicholas's commemorative edition of the 75 Years of Imagining More book all over the resort there. Still hanging out here with Commissioner Merrit Linke. And big question on my mind. I'll be celebrating the Badgers making the Final Four till next Final Four next year, but can you dunk?
You know, not anymore.
Okay.
In high school,
6'5", as I can imagine.
In 6'5", yes, I could dunk in high school. Actually,
in high school, that
had
to rile up the crowd because.
Well, I was never given the opportunity really in a game to dunk. You know how it is. But in college,
with a 20-step head start holding the ball.
Yeah, no, I could do it even better than that. I could do it probably on a 2-step. And not travel.
All right.
And in college, we did this. You know, we played a lot of intramural in college and stuff, and I could do it.
Okay, I'll give you credit for that because I couldn't even dunk an 8-foot basket when we'd lower it. So that's all good.
Anymore, I can barely touch the bottom of the net. You know.
So, Commissioner, you got a few hats you could be dealing with involved with that. One big one is Highway 9. For our tourists that would come over Berthoud Pass here, this would be the other route. You head down to Kremlin, take Highway 9 down to Silverthorne, Breckenridge, kind of that area is Highway 9, and that's a kind of a big artery for folks on that end of the county, and
that's right,
coming from that direction. And it's been just a deadly mess of a highway.
Oh yeah, it's got an incredible number of deer, car accidents, collisions. People have died on that road. There's been tons of collisions. So this was a project that had been in works for a long time, and it's supposed to start actually beginning construction this summer.
This summer, and how long do they project this taking?
It's projected to be a 2-year project. They're really going to try to get it done.
No, that's actually a lot quicker than expected.
Yeah,
okay, so in a nutshell, you know, we don't want to spend too much time on what's the purpose, what's the goal here? Because it's there's kind of straight-ish highway. It's not, it doesn't switch back like we're dealing with over on Berthoud
it's straight.
Pass.
But one of the big things they're going to do is straighten out some of the curves, and they're actually going to widen out the driving lanes because the lanes are actually narrower than a normal driving lane. Plus, they're going to put some shoulders. And the other big thing is they're going to make some wildlife underpasses and overpasses because that's part of the problem.
So do these exist elsewhere? I mean, is this
some of this is very new concept, especially the overpasses.
And they'll be putting, if I understand right, massive fences too to kind of
so to direct them to
these over and underpasses.
The goal is to try to keep the wildlife off the highway.
So this is not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Who's shelling out the dough? You know.
Well, it's a RAMP project, which is Rapid Acceleration of Mobility Projects. I believe, I don't know if that's the right term, but RAMP project. And it's a public-private partnership. So there's CDOT is funding most of the money.
So some is coming from the state.
Some is coming from the state. Summit County pitched in some. Grand County pitched in some. And then there's just a ton of local support, diverse support all over the county for this.
They raised a lot of money.
They raised a lot of money. Basically, you know, a quarter of the project. So it's going to end up being probably a $50 million project.
Well, while we're talking about access points to Grand County here, you've also had a personal investment of your time now into what could become a third access point.
Yeah, and that's the Rollins Pass, what you're referring to, and we don't really see that as an access point because it's not going to be a full-time year road.
More of a historic. I guess it'd be similar to the national park kind of thing.
Kind of a national park thing. It'll be only open in the summer. I mean, all that. There's a ton of history up there. That gets back to my newcomer definition that I talked about earlier.
And just not to cut you off, but the Moffett Tunnel you'll see coming into the resort, that's how the train gets here now. But it didn't always come through a 6-mile tunnel. It used to come up over the pass through a town called Arrow, all up above Winter Park here.
That's right. And currently there's a tunnel at the very top called the Needles Eye Tunnel that is closed. And that is the sticking point why that road cannot be open at this point in the summers because there's actually physical barricades in front of the tunnel. And it follows the old railroad grade all the way to Boulder County. And that's how
you can bike or snowmobile or whatever it is all the way up to a certain point and then
or you could actually drive. I mean, you can even a fairly not even a 4-wheel drive necessarily on the railroad grade.
Just make sure you have good shocks, right?
Probably good shocks. It's a little rocky
once in a while. But,
and Grand County does spend some maintenance dollars on it. We do some plowing and get it open.
What are some steps you're doing here? You in a money-raising phase or just generating interest?
We're not to the money-raising phase yet. What we're working on at this point is probably a legislative type of fix and trying some negotiations. Because Boulder County is the hang-up here. They've closed the tunnel on their portion of the road, which is less than a mile.
So the tunnel, the property's owned?
The tunnel, the less than a mile part of the road is in Boulder County, and that's where the Needles Eye Tunnel.
Less than a mile.
That's where the Needles Eye Tunnel is located, and they closed it. There was an accident several years ago. They closed that, said we don't want to deal with it, And
What,
it's
a
been
rock
closed.
falling somewhere or something?
That is right.
Is that true?
That is
some guy was
actually
hiking
true.
or goofing off up there? That's
He
what
was
I heard.
goofing off, and
So that's a real
fell.
story.
That is a real story.
Oof.
A rock fell on some guy, and Boulder somehow took on the liability for that and ended up having to pay a settlement. So they took it upon themselves to close the road.
It's like that Aaron Ralston movie, man. Ouch.
Yeah, kind of like that.
So Boulder's making some decisions here. Are you guys, working with them?
Boulder, we're trying to work with Boulder. We're trying to involve the Forest Service. We're trying a little bit of legislative action. We had a meeting with Representative Polis yesterday, and I actually was in Washington about a month ago and set up a meeting with our Senator Cory Gardner, with his chief of staff, and brought up this issue. So we have support.
Now, is this going to be a nice enough road I could take my Corolla up over, or
maybe?
Are they still in talks of?
It's probably in talks of what level of maintenance that it would have.
I was wondering, because you'd think, God, Boulder, that'd be a great access point in the summertime. Get away from that I-70 traffic.
And the key thing for me is that there's a ton of history that right now is being lost.
Yeah.
Because that is how people came to Grand Canyon. That was the business.
There was a town up there, right? Yeah.
Business,
exactly.
and there was actually a hotel on the very top. There's some more pictures of some of those buildings.
Well, how close do you think we are to getting any progress? Is progress being made, or is it kind of stagnating?
I think there's a lot of support for it, but there seems to be a very integral sticking point that we can't get past right now, and that is Boulder County at this point.
1 mile of.
Now, 1 mile.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. One more time here. We'll be back to finish our chat with Commissioner Merrit Linke.
All right. Thank you.